All right, you guys, hello. I know this is like a super random thing for you guys to see from our channel, but it's Casey Neistat is a big deal to a lot of people who are on YouTube. He's a super badass guy, and he gives a lot to the community, and we have an opportunity to give back to him because he just made a great video on how beginners can get into running and asked for some feedback. And I'm no expert on running, that's for sure, but I have a really good understanding of how running affects the body. And so just wanted to add a couple things in, kind of on top of what they said. They did a great job, and obviously the guy who did the video is a badass Olympian, so he knows what he's talking about. But the major thing that I want to talk about was the first thing they talked about was, do you warm up at all before you go out, or one of the first things. And they said no, not really, just kind of dive into the runs, which is by all means like the way especially they approach it too. They don't kind of run themselves out too early. But a great thing to do before you start running, there's a great style of running called pose running. And even for a total beginner, if you look up on YouTube how to do pose running warm-ups, there's some really great things that are more for your brain than they are for your muscles. It's just about getting your brain on the right pattern of firing and using the right muscles and stuff, like using your butt and your hamstrings to lift your legs off the ground rather than push off the ground. And so that's something to dive in obviously later down the running road, but it's just a great thing to do even if you're beginning to get those kind of warm-ups in your head. And then another thing they talked about, and this is going to be a super short video, but these are just like the most important things in my head. They talked about, do you do any stretching? And then the main point was not to stretch before, but to stretch after. But a really great thing to do before is mobility work, is not stretching, but maybe getting on a foam roller and rolling out your quads, because your quads are going to restrict you like crazy when your leg tries to go behind your body, which is what happens in running. And if you pay attention to Casey and I think Roberto, I hope I didn't say his name wrong, if you look at their feet, when their feet go behind their body, when each foot goes behind their body, both their feet kick out a little bit to the outside. And what that means is there's a little bit of block of internal rotation when they're in full extension. And so these are wonderful things you can find out in a book called Ready to Run. I have no affiliation with Kelly Starrett. He's just a really, really great guy, just like Casey, who just gives back to the community, gives back to obviously his athletic community, just like Casey gives back to his creator community. So these are just like wonderful little pieces of information you can get. And so in Ready to Run, they talk a lot about initial mobility, initial kind of brain programming, initial core stability you're gonna need, and then just the strict, like how much and what kind of flexibility do you actually need to run? Like, do you need internal rotation in extension? So, and I know these are like terms that are further along than most beginner runners, but they're really great things to think about right from the beginning. So if you, right from the beginning, figure out if you have the actual mobility to run, then you will avoid all kinds of damage to yourself. And so Casey Neistat, you're a super badass, and I only say this stuff because I care about you and I care about the body that you're using to run. And you do talk about how you kind of are in an injury state sometimes. And so I just thought, Kelly Starrett, if you don't know him, I feel like you should do a collaboration with him because he's a really flamboyant, awesome, big character in the fitness industry. And he has a really great YouTube channel already called Mobility WOD. So yeah, Mobility WOD.
So workout of the day, right?
Yeah, workout of the day. This is Matt right here too.
How you doing?
We're both just about like getting back into fitness ourselves, and so we're in the same place. We want to do what we can to, like, I don't know, set people on the right path, almost because we're talking out loud for ourselves. So we love you, Casey Neistat. You're a badass. I'm glad to meet your new running friend. He seems like a badass as well. And I really hope you get Ready to Run. It's a book by Dr. Kelly Starrett. He's based out of San Francisco. And it is such an informational, wonderful book. And there's lots of commentary from Dr. Nicholas Romanoff, who is the guy who invented pose running, which, I don't know. I mean, everyone is split and everyone says somebody's running, someone's not, but there's a lot of people who prescribe to a style of running called pose running. And it's a really effective way of running where you're not exerting effort into the ground, you're actually just resisting falling forward and kind of continuously falling forward and catching yourself. So it's almost like 90% effortless, and then only 10% effort is just basically keeping yourself from crumbling. So I don't know, if you're hearing about that for the first time, please check it out. I know you guys were saying it's awesome to like have it be so free and not have a coach and things like that, but just like the little tiny bit of awareness that can be garnered from someone like Kelly Starrett and his understanding of mobility, or someone like Jill Miller from Yoga Tune-Up. So yes, I know it's strange that two musicians here talking about fitness and stuff, but we love Kelly. And in a past life, I cared a lot about the body. My body, I still do, but just was much more overt with it because I got myself into some stiffness troubles and some injury troubles, just like Kelly is too. So he's a badass. He seems like he's not hobbling around, so I'm sure he's not too injured, but any day for him that he doesn't get to run, I imagine is a bad day. So Kelly, if you get this message and you read that book, Ready to Run, and you maybe dive into a touch more of soft tissue work and myofascial work, it's called, I think you will run faster. I think you will run more efficient. I think you will run longer distances without any injury. You know, there's some incredible ultra marathoners that are hang out in that same camp with Kelly Starrett, like Dean Karnazes, and Kelly himself is a 42-year-old, I think now, badass who is like, you know, 6'2", 240, 230. He's a big guy who can squat 600 pounds or deadlift 600 pounds, and he did a 200-mile marathon a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So he's into the ultra marathon